So today I'm working on my big cam Cummins, and I'm having a bit of a cooling issue with my fan not coming on when it should. When it gets to 200, 205 degrees, the fan's not kicking on. It should kick on and then kick back off when it cools it down. And it's just not doing that. So we're gonna make the repair on that. I think I'm gonna be able to figure out what it is. And I thought while I was doing that, I could talk about some of the other fan clutch things that I have seen with some other guys, and hopefully make it so it's easy for you to make your own repair if you had something similar, or save you some money if you go to a shop so you don't get ripped off. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. Now I know some of you are thinking, okay, because I deal with you all the time. Some of you have that stinking thinking where you think, I'll just turn the manual button on and I don't have to worry about any of this. I just run the fan all the time. Problem with that is you're gonna get worse fuel mileage for sure. The second is, these engines are made to be at a certain temperature. They like to be a certain heat, and you're screwing it all up when you have your fan on all the time. For example, my F-250, if it's below 120 degrees, it's blah, 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 blah down the road. I mean, it is, wow, it's so obvious. But once it gets to 160 to 170, whew, she's as happy as can be. But until it gets there, it's a little bit of a rough go. So these engines are kind of the same way. So don't be lazy, get this thing fixed. So this is the fan clutch, and mine's one of the free spinning fan clutches, and a lot of them are the opposite. They don't spin freely, they need air to disengage. Mine needs the air line right here to engage that fan. One of the common things I see again and again is these fittings, especially on the newer trucks, the quick connects, they start blowing air out everywhere. So they're easy to fix, like a $10 part, and you're back up and running without any fan leaks. The other thing is, if you turn your key onto the on position, tried this a couple times, but if you turn it to manual and then turn it back off, if you find air just shooting out the sides of these things, you've got a problem with your fan clutch. Okay, this right here is your fan solenoid, and how that works is it's got air that's coming from the air tanks, comes up, connects to this filter that goes through here, then it goes to your fan solenoid, and that solenoid opens or closes and then sends air through the line to your fan clutch. This is that air line I was showing that went to the fan clutch. Very simple system, and it's a universal solenoid, so it works on a normally open or normally closed system, and you got to figure out which one you have before you start changing one of these out. And it'll have a diagram in there to show you which way to hook it up if yours is a normally closed versus mine, which is a normally open system. These two wires right here, easy to connect and disconnect. Mine, I found, went back to the switch inside the cab where all the other wiring for the sensors end up going to. So I had to spend a lot of time figuring out where those wires went, because there were no wires on this truck when I got it. So probably the most confusing part is going to be, is it normally open or is it a normally closed system? And here's why it's important. On a normally open system, on your sensors, for example, your sensor that turns your fan on when it gets too hot, one line will be positive and one line will be dead normally. So you'll have power to one terminal and no power to the other terminal. And then when that sensor is triggered, when it gets hot enough, it'll send power to the other line, which then sends power to your solenoid. On a normally closed system, it's actually the opposite. Both are hot, and then when the sensor's triggered, it actually disconnects power to one of the lines. So that's why it's important to know what system you have. Let me show you on mine. So this right here is the thermo switch, and when this gets hot enough, it should be sending power to one of these lines. And we'll disconnect them, and I'll show you. Take that line off. So these are the two lines. Since it's a normally open system, when I connect them and give power to this other line, it should come on and turn the fan on. Let's see. You hear that? When I connect them, the fan is engaging. So
So what I'm going to need to do is change this sensor out because I think it's not working properly.
All right, I think this one's going to be pretty easy. This is a thermo switch, and I think that's going to be the problem. The reason I think that's the problem is because when I connected those wires together, the fan engaged. So I know the wire isn't bad. I know it's not, disconnected somewhere. I know it's probably in this thermo switch that's supposed to trigger. And this is $55. You can get them so that they trigger at different temperatures. The only one I could get at this point was a 190, so I went with it. It's a universal, which is also nice because you can hook up a closed system with the NC and the C, and you can hook up an normally open system by the NO and the C. And that way, if you don't exactly know what it is, and you hook up the NC and the C, and the fan comes on, you probably just need to switch the wire to the NO. So, or vice versa. We're going to get this hooked up, and I think we'll be set to go. It might seem easy enough to take that sensor out and then replace it. Problem is, there's water in these lines, and it goes up to the top of that radiator. So I actually have to empty a bunch of this coolant out to be able to change that sensor. Okay, I think we're going to just disconnect this heater core line. We got another little line. That's all I had left. Ooh. See how much I have here. Tighten it up. And then I'll fit this one inside of here. Put it down here and throw it into a bucket. I think that'll work. So, got to come over here and take the radiator cap and loosen it up. Now let's see what we got. All right, we got some coolant out. I got one down there too. That worked out pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to take this little sensor out. It's hidden in there. Ay, ay, ay. Let's see about getting this little burger out of here. Well, that's the culprit right there, and it is a 195, normally open. And I could go ahead and try to test it and see about it, but I think the easiest thing is just to change this out. That should be good. Whoops. All right, you see this line right here? If I put it on the NO, or if I put it on the normally closed, you hear the fan? So you definitely know this needs to be on normally open. Normally closed, normally open. Look at that. Come on, see the light on? It brings that temperature down fast. Nice. All right, we're all buttoned up and ready to go. This was actually a pretty simple fix. $55. It's not going to be. It's not going to eat the bank. So most of these things do end up being pretty simple. You just got to figure out what you're working with. A process of elimination. Don't just throw parts at it, but figure out what's going on and why is it doing it. Are you getting power to where it should? Maybe you have a wire that's busted somewhere, and that could be your problem. Or you might have a sensor that's bad, and that's the same on the AC. Of course, your manual switch should just turn it on. So figure out what's not working and then eliminate it from there. If nothing's coming on, maybe it's your solenoid. Maybe it's your actual fan clutch. But I hope this helps out. But for now, I'll see you on the next one.